Welcome back to the shop, guys. Welcome back to the channel. I finally went and emptied my pockets because I had all the parts for that on me. Well, most of them. Some of the stuff wasn't salvageable, which I'm still waiting. As you can tell, we've only got like 2,200 scrap. I don't think it's enough to do what I want to do, because I want to build that engine entirely. I want this thing to push 1,000 horse when we're done with it, which I don't know if it's possible, but I'm going to do my best. Anyway, let's get back to our campaign here. There's so many extra jobs in here, but let's continue on our journey here. Hello, I've just recently purchased a car from a friend of my aunt's neighbor. It looked alright. At first, I drove it quite nicely. At some point, something cracked. There was smoke and everything shut down. I was assured that it was all in great condition and the car didn't require any additional input. It was supposed to be ready and up for driving for a couple more years. It seems that somebody played an unfunny joke on me. I need this car fixed. I need this car for next week. I must have a functioning means of transport because of my new job. I don't have time to search for something new now because I'm moving houses soon. Please do what you can so I can drive this car without fear. Okay. Something cracked and there was smoke. This sounds like a radiator possibly. Good God, this thing's dirty. Was there anything else to that, or did it end there? It's only 3 pages. Must be 69%. Perform wheel alignment. Okay. Well, first things first, because we all know I'm not going to stare at a dirty car. It's going to drive me nuts. This is just my ADD kicking in. And it doesn't look bad. I'm just wondering if it's going to be all mechanical under the hood. That's my biggest concern. Yeah, starter looks like it's no good. Fuel filter looks like it's no good. Let's play the magical game, shall we? It's turboed. There's something underneath there that's really rusty as well. Oil pan looks junk. Spark plug's no good. Computer's no good. Oh, it can't be started. Well, that's going to be that starter, I assume. I'd like to at least get it running. That way I can... Yeah, I want it running. That way, I know what's up. It's been a minute. I'm forgetting my buttons. I'll slap that new starter in there and see if it'll allow us to... Engine can't be started. Okay. It's going to be one of those days, huh? I mean, that computer might have something to do with it. The ABS booster's no good. That rear gas tank's no good. I can see it from here. Oh yeah, this thing's got electrical gremlins all over the place. Okay. Yeah, this car's got lots of electrical gremlins. And if I can't start it, I can't do the fuel pressure test as well. Oh, it's always the pretty cars that want to be a pain in the butt. That was a bad clutch plate. And we know we got problems in that fuse box because we had a bunch of fuses that were no good. Doesn't sound like the car's in bad shape. Excuse me. It doesn't really seem like suspension's going to be a problem. It's just going to be electrical and the engine itself, which is never good because that's where most of the really expensive jobs are due to how long it takes and things like that. I really would like to get this car running so I can do the compression test. I know that ABS module is no good. And there's a bunch of stuff in here that's no good. Like that one. That one's okay. That one's no good. Fine, fine. Junk. Junk. Okay. That oil pan looks horrible. That fuel rail looks horrible. We'll fix what we can see, and then we'll go from there. If we still have problems down the line. ABS modules. The computer side of it's fine. It looks like the actual hydraulic module is no good. And that is obviously no good. You can never see it back here. What was that? Oh, a couple rusty bolts. Yeah, I don't see anything major back here. Yeesh. Okay. I think we had an oil change on this anyway, so might as well get started on that. Where's my drain bucket? Well, had oil in it. That's a good sign. It's usually a good sign. And, of course, we can't pull the oil pan without pulling the turbo. You gotta pull the downpipe. You can't pull the downpipe with the turbo there. I think there's something on top of the turbo up here as well. Oh no. I don't think we're going to need a compression test. I don't think we're going to need a compression test. Not going to lie. think we have found the tricky culprit. This motor is clapped. And that's the end of it. Okay, I don't need to mess with the brakes. I need to pull that out. And then, oh, of course. Well, if I'd known all that, I wouldn't have already replaced the starter. But when you can't run the engine, it kind of makes diagnosing hard. Because even in real life, if you can't, let it idle and stuff like that, you have no idea what's wrong with it unless you tear it down and literally eyeball every piece. So. That's where we're at with this one. Shouldn't have to touch anything else there. That's accessible from the engine bay. Like I said, it's always the really good looking cars that are the biggest problem. Oh, you know what? I need slurpy tool. Because we're about to pull all the bits and pieces out of this car, so. Which, if we're doing all this, we might as well be nice and change all the fluids anyway. Might as well be nice. And I wonder if we can. Clean those. We can pull the radiator. It really was just the fan that was the problem, so we didn't have to do that, but that's alright. Now, we need this fine fellow. Okay. It's always the pretty cars that are a disaster. Always. The minute I saw in that oil pan, I was like, it's going to be a nightmare. As you can see, nothing but all the carbon buildup in this motor. The crankshafts, the pistons, the camshafts, apparently. Don't know what it is. This game likes to trick you. Like, oh, look at this pretty car that's not a train wreck, and then you look at that pretty car and it's really good looking on the outside, and the body doesn't need any work, and it just needs a nice wash down, and then you get into the engine bay of it, and it turns into a disaster. It's usually how it goes. Good news is we're getting up there on scrap, so hopefully soon we can start the project on that old school muscle car. And then we can go to the junkyard and get another one. That's my favorite part of this game, is restoring the cars from junkyard and stuff and barn finds. I quite enjoy it. Yeah, there's nothing but carbon buildup in here. Everybody's got to go. Everybody's getting kicked out. Yeah, they sold this guy a dud. And you really need to be careful when you're buying a used car now, because I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube of like, or not even that, maybe even TikTok and stuff like that. But a lot of people like just throwing in this like fluid into a ticking car, and it stops for a couple 100 miles, and then you buy that car, and then soon enough you've got a car that's ticking. Which is not cool. I mean, I've had people sell me cars that, I knew something was up just because I used to be a mechanic, so I'm like, whatever it is, I can fix it. But a lot of people now are getting like kind of sneaky with it. So I hope that doesn't happen to you. But I'm also from the same side of the page where I don't say go to the dealership and buy a brand new car, because all those cars have problems too. So, and then you gotta, nowadays $1,000 car payment, and you have car problems. I'd rather just buy something old with no payment and have the occasional car problem than have a brand new car I'm paying $1,000 a month for, and I still have car problems. So I don't know. The car industry has really gone kind of downhill now for me. I used to work for Mopar, for those of you that are joining me for the first time. Jeep, Chrysler, and Dodge. And I'm a gearhead. I'm an oil burner for sure. And I know some people aren't into that, but I get it. Oh, wait a minute. No. Install. I have. What? What do you mean? I don't want to create an engine. Grr, game. Oh, that's why. I haven't built an engine in a while, apparently. Ever since they said they were going to drop the Challenger and the Charger and do the electric variants of it, I've been pretty butthurt over that. I really like those cars. They're a lot of fun to work on and drive, but if you're into electric cars, hey, that's all you. They are, a breed of their own. They're definitely a new thing. I can't get behind them just because I've seen the good and the bad sides of them, but I mean, if it's something you want for yourself, oh, I didn't need that. Dang. If it's something you want for yourself, go for it. But I can't get behind electric cars. There's nothing wrong with that. I just feel like there's too many problems, and those things, when they catch on fire and stuff, it is no good. Which I hope that doesn't happen to anybody, but I've already seen videos, and I mean, we saw enough electrical problems with cars when I worked for Chrysler. Would I ever go back to turning wrenches? I could. I just don't think I'd want to. Just because the cars now they're getting so advanced, it makes, getting paid flat rate a migraine. And if you don't know what flat rate pay is, basically as a mechanic, when you get paid flat rate, quote unquote, there's a certain timestamp attached to that repair. Like, I think when I was at Chrysler, an oil change was like 0.4 of an hour. And there's 10 points in an hour. So, like, if you did 0.4, you were only getting 4/10 of an hour for an oil change. Which was fine. You could do an oil change in 10-15 minutes and still do a pre-check of the car and maybe find some other problems to make some more time on. But you know, you get stuck on a warranty job for something that that you get paid 2 hours and it takes you 6 hours to do it. You're only getting paid 4 hours. Like you're working for free if you don't get it done within that time limit. And the cars are just getting so advanced now that it makes it really hard to make your money. You have to do a job over and over and over again to know all the little tips and tricks and fast ways to get through it. Relay A, relay B. I need 2 of those. And the computer. And the computers are not cheap. In this game, they look cheap. That thing in real life would probably be like $1,200-1,500 for an ECU controller. And no, for all of you that have been following this channel for a long time, I have not bought another car yet. Me and my wife are still sharing her car. Just to save money. Insurance in Florida is like almost a scam at this point, price-wise. So, we just have the one car for right now. I am on the lookout for an old square body Suburban or, whatever I can find, really, that I like. But an old square body Chevy would make me pretty happy. But the reason I was looking for a Suburban is because we have the 2 kids, and I want to be able to have the back seat if I need to pick them up or something. So I could just buy a day cab square body, but then I won't have a place to put my kids, and I will not put my kids in the front seat of a square body with no airbags. So, oh, I went the wrong way. But yeah, I'm still kind of looking around. If I find something cheap, then I might jump on it, but we'll see. I'll be honest with you, I'm not in a rush to buy a vehicle with the price of insurance down here. Because like I said, it's almost basically a scam at this point. I don't know if I should have put that back on yet. It might be in my way later. Put that fuel rail back in. Put that intake back on. The good news is, once we put this engine back in, it should purr like a kitten. Should is the key word. There's a lot of little stuff in this game that you don't have to remember either. Good stories. When I was working at Chrysler, we had, I think, a Wrangler, one of the newer ones. It was probably like a 14 at the time, 2014, 2015 maybe. And we had to do a long block on it, which is basically the engine block itself was no good. I think the engine block was cracked from overheating. And the guy I was working with, I had asked him, like, because it was his job, I was still getting paid hourly as the quick lube guy. I'd only been there like maybe a year. And I asked him, I'm like, did you check everything, like, on the block? And he's like, yeah, it's all good. Real quick answer. And I was like, okay. I'm like, it's his job, it's not mine. I'm literally just helping out because I get paid by the hour and I had nothing to do. But, try to get him... try to get his job done within his time window, and so he could actually make some money on the job, because he was getting paid flat rate. And we start pouring coolant into this thing, and we didn't know that Chrysler doesn't pre-install the block antifreeze or the freeze plugs. So if your coolant actually freezes, it'll push this plug out of the back of the block. I don't know if this car actually has one. Like if the game actually has one to show. It doesn't look like it, but there's like these plugs in the back of your engine block. So basically, if the coolant freezes, oh, I need to get out of the screen. If the coolant freezes, it will push out these plugs in the back of your block instead of it freezing in your block and actually cracking the main block of the engine. And he just said, yeah, it's all good. And I started pouring coolant into this thing, and sure enough, as I'm pouring coolant into it, I'm like, hey, I hear stuff dripping on the floor. And he's like, are you spilling it? I said, no. And sure enough, Chrysler never put the block freezers in it. So we were just pouring coolant into a brand new engine, and it was just flowing out the back because we didn't double check that. So he was pretty butthurt about that, because then we had to undo all the connections again, lift the motor up so we could actually put the block heaters in it ourselves, or the block freezers. The plugs, I should say. God, I can't speak. I'm trying to do too much at once. But yeah, we had to basically pull it all back out again and redo it all because neither of us noticed. Another great story is, I think, the first time I did... I want to say the first time I did a transmission install, because I wasn't high enough tech to rebuild them, but I could uninstall them for somebody else to rebuild them, and then I could reinstall them for them. I forgot to put in the torque converter bolts. So I had this, I think it was a minivan or possibly a PT Cruiser, I want to say, like ready to go, and I was all excited, and I start the thing up, and I'm ready to back it out of the bay, and I put it in reverse, and nothing happens at all. I'm like, what did I forget here? And then sure enough, I'm like, I didn't put the torque converter bolts in, so there was actually no connection in between the engine to the transmission, because there was no bolts. So that was a complete doofus move on my part. They don't show it in this game, but there is that plate here. There is bolts you have to bolt into that, or the engine will just spin and the transmission won't do anything. And sure enough, that's what I had done. I hadn't tightened I had just mounted the transmission up and been like, okay, I'm done. And no, that doesn't work that way. You got to put the torque converter bolts in. But it was a good lesson because, you know, I learned it right then and there. Like, hey, don't ever do that again. Which you have to learn stuff like that when being a fresh mechanic. Okay, let's go put that fuel tank in. Fuel tank. Fuel pump. I don't think I tore anything else up back here. That should be everything back there. That should be everything underneath here. I don't know if we've found everything. The starter, but I have that. I have to put that in from the top. Oh, they wanted a wheel alignment. Okay, so we have found everything. Oh, job wasn't too bad then. So we're going to put the starter back in, the turbo back in, fill up all the fluids. Yeah, I knew this thing was going to be in my way. That's alright though. This game's kind of cheatsy. I mean, this is a good game if you've never done it in real life and you want to learn. It's definitely not a bad game for that. The being able to go to the junkyard and grab cars and completely flip them is really good for somebody like me with the itch to do that in real life, but not the funding to do it. If you know that, that's the polite way of me saying I'm broken. can't flip cars, because I'd love to have some old cars to rebuild and stuff. I just can't afford it. That stuff gets really expensive really fast. Because you say, oh, I'm just going to do this, this, and this, and then I'm going to flip it. And then you do this, this, and that, and you go, this thing would be really cool if I did this, and you did that, and you start putting money into it, and then your wife reminds you, aren't you going to flip this car? And by then you've completely fallen in love with it. And you're like, then you're just spending money at that point, which I've done. Okay, coolant, brake fluid, oil, done all that. So now we just gotta take it over to the alignment rack. 22 didn't get any tires, but I guess it would make sense if you don't know if the other person's taking care of it or not. I mean, if it doesn't drive funny, I wouldn't get an alignment. That one's way out of whack. That one would be like a bald inside tire. The tire would be smoked. That should be it. Look at that. Everything's done. Story order. Ba ba ba. Perfect. Well, we're only at 30 minutes, but yeah, I will show you a lot of the stuff. Why is all that junk in here? Oh no, that's my inventory. Scratch that. Yeah, a lot of the stuff for that car is in here. It is a big it's a big blower motor engine, so it's going to be interesting. A lot of the parts in here are just extra parts that I've just had. Oh, I need to sell all that stuff. That was mods and stuff. That stuff needs to go away. But yeah, a lot of it's in here, but I definitely want more scrap because I want to buy the performance parts for the engine. I want to redo the whole engine. The whole engine is going to be performance parts, and then I want to upgrade them all. And you can tell I'm lazy because I just come in here and do that because 240. And we got a crate, which I never opened for you guys. You can basically just get like extra XP, extra scrap. I've been trying to get extra XP or extra scrap, but it's really hard to decide which ones to grab. Oh, bonus case though, that's always good. More XP. Ah, 400 scrap. Beautiful. Well, that's going to be it, guys. I'm going to leave it here. Hopefully we'll be building that Tempest soon, as I would love to put this thing back together. But like I said, I want this car to be like 99% performance parts. But that's going to be it for me today, guys. I'm rambling at this point, so I got to let you go. I hope you guys have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay positive. And I will see you guys in the next episode. See you guys.